All right, my friends, buckle up because in today's video, I'm talking about some of my biggest hot takes in backpacking. Now, something that you've always heard me say is that the gear you choose to take on a backpacking trip should facilitate the experience that you want to have in the backcountry. That gear needs to provide safety and comfort and be the right pieces of gear to give you the best experience possible when you go out on a backpacking trip. And that's why today I'm saying that ultralight needs to die. Specifically, the 10-pound base weight qualification just needs to completely go away and just not exist anymore for a few different reasons. Now, I know that I am going to ruffle some feathers by talking about this today, but I am a firm believer in that backpacking as a hobby, as a sport, however you want to look at it, can be done in so many different ways, and your purpose and reason for going out into the backcountry is going to be contingent on a lot of different factors. And putting the backpacking sport or hobby into one silo of ultralight is not really a fair way to approach what backpacking is. And I think it has become so heavily focused on, and so many people are just laser focused on being ultralight, and that weight is the only thing that matters in how you have a good experience in the backcountry, that it actually takes away from what backpacking is for a lot of people. Now, 20 years ago, ultralight was a totally different concept and mindset than it is today. And the reason being is fabrics were starting to be developed and introduced, like Cuban fiber, that really pushed the realm of possibility in saving a lot of weight in a backpacking gear system. Now that technology with gear has advanced so much, getting a pack weight under 30 pounds at a reasonable cost really isn't that hard to do. And so there doesn't have to be this big separation anymore, or that like goal mindset of I have to get down to this 10-pound base weight for me to have a good experience in the backcountry. Now, I will always be a huge proponent of trying to save weight where it makes sense in your backpacking gear system and to refine your gear to make it so that you're not carrying more than is necessary. But I still think that it is more important to focus on what experience do I want to have when I go out on a trip? What are my goals? What are my ambitions and the purpose for being out there? It's going to be different for everybody, and make that personal to you. And don't let the silo of a 10-pound base weight be the qualification for you to feel like, now I've made it as a backpacker. So just get out there with the gear that you've got and enjoy yourself. That's the whole point of backpacking, is to get out into the backcountry, to enjoy nature, be with yourself, be with your friends, away from distractions, and just have good, positive experiences. Now, I might be digging my grave here a little bit, but hot take number 2 is that trampoline back panels on backpacks is just a bunch of marketing hype. Now, let me explain here. I feel like companies have put so much focus on this prevents your back from sweating, which is not actually true. Your body is going to sweat. Your back is going to sweat. You are exerting energy, and that's how your body functions. This just provides a little bit of airflow for you to feel more comfortable with that airflow and not having all of that sweat just being soaked up into your clothing. Now, is this a nice feature? Absolutely. I think that these are really handy, having that airflow, reducing the amount of sweat that is collected on your clothing from being against your back is a nice thing to have. But I think there is so much focus on this being like, this is how you're gonna have an awesome experience with this backpack. I would rather this pack fit very comfortable and carry the load appropriately than be so focused on, it's got a trampoline back panel, your back's not gonna sweat, and you're gonna enjoy yourself more because of that. But the other thing that I don't really like about these trampoline style back panels is they actually push the weight of your backpack away from your back. So with heavier loads, this can actually make it less comfortable and harder for you to balance the weight on your back. Don't get so caught up in a backpack having a trampoline back panel and thinking that that is the most important feature on the backpack. There's so many other things that you want to focus on with your backpack. Hot take number 3 is that a tent stake is not a poop trowel. This is not an effective, efficient way to dig a hole in the ground to get that proper 6 to 8 inches of depth that you need for a cat hole to poop into. This is also an opportunity for you to injure yourself because likely on the stake you've got some sharp edges and you've been pounding it with a rock, so those edges are even more beat up and you could cut your hand up pretty good. And in rooted and rocky ground, this is just not a good way to dig a hole. What you should do is just get yourself a proper poop trowel and use this to dig that cat hole, that full 6 to 8 inches when the ground is also not totally frozen. That's a little embarrassing. But the idea is take the tool for the job. This is the right way to dig a cat hole and the proper way for you to dispose of your waste. And likely if you're using a stake, you're going to end up with a hole that is not deep enough, and then you fall into all sorts of issues of that being brought up to the surface, animals getting to it, and then it leaching into your water sources, which leads into hot take number 4. So hot take number 4 is a fun one for me, and that is that a wag bag should be getting used way more often than not in the backcountry, especially in high use areas. Wag bags make such a difference in our ability to reduce the impact that we create in high use areas. Now, a lot of people will say, dude, there is no way that I am pooping into a bag and then carrying this in my backpack for multiple days. There's some ways around that, which I'll show you here in a second, to make that less of an issue. And let me just share a quick story with you. Last August, I went to the Sawtooth Mountains and hiked the very, very popular Alice Lake Loop. And while I was going off to do my morning duty, my second day there, I actually ended up stepping in someone else's poop who decided to not dig a cat hole, just cover it with some leaves and pine cones, and I got it all over my shoe. I uncovered somebody else's poop. It was a disaster to clean up. It was awful, and I was concerned for the rest of the trip that I had contaminated my gear and I was gonna get sick from having somebody else's poop on my shoe and it getting onto things. So a wag bag definitely helps reduce that impact and makes it possible for us to enjoy those high use areas a bit more because they're not going to end up smelling like a sewer and you're digging up other people's feces and it becoming a whole thing and a whole problem. The other thing to keep in mind is in some areas, you can't even get far enough away from water sources for you to follow leave no trace to properly dig a cat hole and for it to dispose properly in that area. Now, a lot of people are very concerned about carrying this in their backpack, it leaking, it's being stinky and all of that. And I get it, like it's not an awesome experience that way, but you can get fun things like this. I actually just ordered this recently from Hilltop Packs for me to carry my wag bags in a safe place that is also a bit more smell proof and contained if for some reason it did decide to open up and leak. I've got the ability to contain that. So that is my thoughts on wag bags and the importance of them. All right, my friends, those are my hot takes for this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? What are your thoughts? I want to have a discussion around these topics. Thanks for watching today. Subscribe to the channel if you have already not done so, and check out my Patreon page where I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes work on the channel, sharing updates and future content, getting feedback from you guys. I've got a link for that down in the video description as well. Have an awesome day, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.